people, how is it going today? So here I have a MacBook Air with no power. Paul's favorite. And here I have a jar of pickles. Also Paul's favorite.
I like pickles.
Look at this. Look at this dill pickle. So this dill pickle. So let's open this MacBook up and see what's going on with it. Before I open it up, we're going to read the letter that came from the customer. Customer name. Classified. Computer won't turn on. Apple authorized service provider wants to replace the logic board, the memory, the processor, the hard drive is on board this device. This makes a huge loss of the user data, since our customer has an out-of-date backup. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, let's open this thing up and see what's going on with it. See if we can make it work again. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what the inside of this little A1932 looks like. This is a fairly new machine, so I wouldn't be expecting it to be dead this soon unless somebody did something to it, because Apple products are typically very well made. They're durable. They last. They don't have random design defects that cause sudden failure.
Somebody's going to take this out of context. You're going to have a clip of this. And you just got the notification.
I don't know what that means, Mr. Simpson.
Is it Super Mario Brothers?
Here we have the inside of a MacBook Air. Let's take a look at this beautiful MacBook Air. We're going to take the screws out of this MacBook Air so that we can take the board out. But first, before we get involved with taking the rest of it out, I want to see what amount of power it takes from the charger when the battery is not attached. Does anybody remember why it is that we always unplug the battery? Mr. Rossman, I'd like to politely request that you keep the bullshit to a minimum, as I am wearing flip-flops. Flip-flops? Bullshit to a minimum because he's wearing flip-flops. I don't understand. Also, I don't have a USB-C amp meter, where I once used to have a USB-C amp meter. My USB-C amp meter has been stolen. Luckily, I own store.rossmangroup.com, so I can simply steal one back. And steal I shall. Because it wasn't on the other person's desk. It wasn't on their desk, so they had to take it. So here, we have a USB-C amp meter, available from store.rossmangroup.com. Fresh with a scratched screen right out of the bag. You get what you pay for.
Take the covering thing off.
There's a covering?
Yeah.
Really?
There's a protector on it.
I don't see a protector. Paul, you see a protector?
Yeah. You're digging in the whole screen.
Oh, shit. Yeah, you're right. Okay, it's not a scratch. Well, now it's a scratch screen because I scratched it trying to get the protector off. Oh, this is a shit protector. Who the fuck sells it?
Who would sell such crap? Wait.
It's affordable.
Must have got it from Microscopes.
All right. Let's see what this does. Now, I have a feeling that the other end of this charger is not actually plugged in. And that appears to be the case. I have accidentally kicked it. Okay, now it's plugged in. So it looks like this is taking 5 volts at 200... Oh, no, never mind. We're taking 20 volts, 30 milliamps, 180 milliamps, 190 milliamps, 200 milliamps. Okay, that's actually turning on. So, oh, no. Now it's back down to 30 milliamps. 300 milliamps. Oh, look at that. Oh, you couldn't see it. 400 milliamps. 400 milliamps. Okay, 20 volts, 400 milliamps for a modern air. That should mean that this is turning on. And this is, remember, this is with the battery detached. So the battery is not taking any power here. And now we're at 70 milliamps. But we're not getting anything on the screen. Now, is this a no back? Now we're down to 70 milliamps, 0 milliamps. This is strange. Paul, can you give me the test screen for the A1932?
We don't have that.
Paul, I need a test screen for an A1932.
We don't have that.
I need a test screen for an A1932. That is a test screen for an A1502. That is a test screen for an A1398. That is a test screen for an older A1398. That is a screen that somebody drew an elephant on. That is a broken screen for an A1502.
Oh, here you go.
That is a screen for an A1466 MacBook Air. I said A1932 MacBook Air.
Wait.
That is a screen for an A1706 MacBook Pro.
No, we don't got it.
All right. So we're just going to have to do a little bit of guesswork over here. No worries. First thing we're going to do is we're going to see if this is posting. Now, when I hit the caps lock key, I would expect to see that the caps lock key turn green if this is actually on and has a brain, which it clearly does not do. See what happens if I hit the power button. I'm part founder and work full-time in game audio. Is there anything you'd recommend to make some extra money on the side? Have non-compete restrictions in my contract. I suppose I would not let people know who you are. Yeah, that's difficult. So, are you asking me how it is you should try to get around your non-compete? Whoa, the fan is spinning. Or are you asking me how you should actually solicit business from customers? So you work in game audio. Are you a composer? Are you a mixer? I don't know, maybe you could make intros for people's YouTube channels. $100 a piece or something. Advertise yourself on Fiverr or Freelancer. All right, so when this thing turns on, the fan spins at full speed. And again, it's brain dead. Hear that fan spinning? The caps lock key doesn't do anything. And there's nothing on the screen. So, I think what we're going to have to do here is take this apart and see if there's anything hiding on the other side. I'm also kind of curious where CPU vCore is going to be on this. Let's take a look and find CPU vCore. It just turned itself off and reverted back to 5 volts. Thanks to you, I learned how to fix my 2014 Air for $300 less than what the local guys were charging. Awesome. What was wrong with your MacBook Air? Okay. I don't know if the local guys were actually cheaper than I was. Where is CPU power? Let's see if this thing has a brain. VCC Prim IPO. What? Sleep DDR. VDD CPU. SoC VDD CPU. SoC VDD CPU SRAM. SoC VDD SoC. PIMIC Buck. Oh boy. PPVCC SoC CPU. Alright, let's see if we got that main one over there. We're going to turn on the Paul Daniels multimeter software. Pray that it works today. And get started. There was corrosion on U7400, so I bought a cheap hot air work and Chinese board with hole in it. So you needed R7402, did you not? Thank you, Jared. Hey, it sounds like you needed R7402. Okay, there are two different A1932s, I believe, because this looks nothing like what's in front of me. Paul, help. My A1932 schematic is not telling me shit. So this is CPU. Oh wait, it is. It's just the heatsink covers a bunch of other crap.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, that's what I wasn't expecting.
The heatsink's not a real heatsink. It's fucking fake.
Wait a second. Why is there a fan over here if there's a heatsink over there?
Yeah, it's a fake ass cooling system.
Wait a second. What the fuck is this? Why is there
Why is that?
a heatsink over here that doesn't go anywhere, and then a fan over here? What is the fan blowing? The heatsink ends over here. Hello from me and my salty coworkers. Thank you, Davis. Thank you, Broken Database. No, seriously. What is? There's a heatsink over here and there's a fan over here, but the heatsink does not reach the fan. But what is this fan blowing? What is the purpose of this heatsink? What does this fan do?
Nothing.
Besides make noise?
Yeah, nothing. It's literally attached to nothing.
Is this a placebo fan?
Probably the best that Apple made. I don't know, what was the most towers? Like, even getting those apart, it's a fucking nightmare. They're making a new tower, right? Yeah. Cheese grater. Instead of a, what, cheese grater? It literally looks like that. It's triangular? Oh my god. Look it up. Why can't we just have the box? The standard, yeah, the one in the past. That's all they needed to do.
So there's CPU vCore is there, but it's jumping up and down. Paul, have you ever seen this? vCore is 0.93 volts. Oh, now it's steady because I'm asking you to look at it. Go fucking figure. What the fuck? You have CPU vCore, but you're not booting at all.
Oh my god, Steve, did you see that they copied it to the back of the monitor too? Yes.
Oh man, it looks like a disease.
It's ridiculous.
I think that's why Joni Ive quit. You probably saw that and thought I'm done.
No, yeah, just walk away from the company. Done. Is this like 3D printed or something? It
Literally a fucking cheese grater.
it looks impossible to machine.
Impossible to remove.
Stupid way to manufacture it that they just decided that it
Apple
would be worse.
nailed it. That's what somebody's
That's
Apple. Yeah.
sarcasm.
Okay, I really hope so. Does anybody actually like this?
This is
ugly piece
one
of
of the
shit?
Zoom ones. We should buy this and then just start fucking shredding cheese.
I bet it works.
It will work. What do you think, Lopez? Buy some Parmesan.
I think that'll make a good video.
What's this?
Steve, why this A1932 has CPU V-core but is brain dead? I think these are. I think that this is as bad, is going to be as bad as the A1534. What can you imagine? Bunch of machines that just develop dead CPUs. Oh, is T2 chip tied to CPU?
Yes.
So you cannot Zelmo CPU?
Nope.
I want to try it.
While having a laugh. It's the picture. The picture. It is. Oh my god. Yes.
Paul is laughing at the cheese grater MacBook. I mean, the cheese grater Mac Pro. Enjoy a burrito on me, says Jason. Why, thank you very much. I don't know if I've earned or deserved that, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Can I send my drone to go pick up the 1502 I got over?
That's illegal in New York, Paul. You're not allowed to have fun things.
The federal government has cleared UPS to use drones across the entire country for delivery.
That's probably better than the postal workers
Yeah, I'm sure.
that we have, at least.
I trust UPS with it.
Okay, so what do you think we're going to find on this board? It's funny because yesterday Paul was opening a board that looked like somebody else worked on, and it had no brain, and he keeps going, please don't be nasty, please don't be nasty. And then he sees no corrosion, and then he starts going, please don't be clean, because if it's too clean, then you're not going to find a hint as to what's actually wrong with it. Like with this fucking one. Any updates on lease negotiations? Yeah, I got an email from Alan today. Actually, I got two funny emails. So yesterday, I got a fucking hysterical email. It said, if it's not too late, I can offer you the store at $9,000 a month as opposed to $10,000. Same terms, 6 months free. Let me know from the restaurant. So the restaurant went from $10,000. It's hysterical. They went from $10,000 and no months free to $9,000 and 6 months free. And Alan, and I still like it's a fucking no. He said, I just emailed regarding ETA on leases. Okay. It seems like these are both the same question, so I'm just going to read through. Thank you very much to Arvin for the 100 knocks to the head. My guess is tomorrow your attorney will receive the lease. I will provide you my take on the lease as well if anything jumps at me. And that's that. Yeah, so. And they're working with my architect on an air conditioner. But yeah, it was very funny yesterday is that Paul got a board that had no brain, and it looked like it had been opened before, and he starts going, please don't be nasty, please don't be nasty. And then he looks at it, and he can't find any corrosion, and he's like, oh shit, please don't be clean, please don't be clean. Because you don't want it to be so nasty that it's unfixable, but you don't want it to be so clean that it means that the board is actually, that there's nothing to fix besides the fact that your CPU has died, or there's just an internal board via that's cracked or something. So let's take a look at this board and see if this is going to be an air no power for Lewis or an air no power for Paul. As you can see, this is absolutely pristine. This is beautiful. There's not a single piece of corrosion on this entire board. It's 820-01521 over here.
Not mine.
Paul has asked for more air no powers in his queue.
I don't want no more air nor more powers. No computer. Want more fix it. Oh no. Somebody open this procurement.
Okay, so here we have an A1932. Nothing visible, nothing blown up, nothing corroded. They just out of the blue decided to stop booting and showing a display. That does not respond to anything on the screen. Oh my god. Speaking, the CPU on this one is probably as dead as the CPU on Paul's right here. This is Paul's queue. That's the CPU. Those are the CPU MOSFETs that power the CPU and split up 12 volts to be 1 volt for the CPU. Oh man. Are you even going to take the screws out of this?
He says data is important. Look at the SSD even.
Yeah, but the SSD is underfilled. It has a chance.
Yeah, it has a chance.
The CPU on that is destroyed. Here's $2 towards the new building. Thank you very much to Eddie S. I highly appreciate it. Yeah, what am I supposed to do with this board? Paul, what would you do with this board?
There's no liquid anywhere?
Nope. I'm going to check SRAM and all the other CPU voltages. Maybe the RAM's not powering.
Did you try powering it on with nothing connected to it?
Just the screen, yeah. Screen and keyboard.
Are you seeing this?
So what are these little buttons on the A1932? The yellow button. Is that battery disconnect?
Yeah, that's just like the junk one, 1534.
Wonder if SMC on-off L is still a thing on this machine.
I believe so, but it goes to an intermediate.
Ask Paul if he wants ice cream, cookies, or cake. Paul, would you want ice cream, cookies, or cake?
Ice cream, mint chocolate chip.
Mint chocolate chip ice cream, says Paul. With some Parmesan cheese shredded on a Mac Pro. I finally got around to using Paul Daniels' shit software with slash instead of Control F, and he changes it to Control F and takes away the slash.
No, you can. It's configurable now.
The fucking
You can
madman.
change it to what you want it to be.
If I was smart enough to configure stuff, I wouldn't be calling it software shit to begin with. So there's no more SMC on-off L. So what are the buttons to hit turn it on? How turn computer on? What is power button attached to? Let's see. Which one of you is the power button? Oh, PMU on-off. Hello, thanks for the stream. I hope Anel's going well. Use this for greenies for Oreo. Also, if I wanted to buy something for your cat, should I send money or buy directly and have it shipped to you? There's some kitty wish list thingy down below. If you could just order something to the store and it will get put on the mail cart over here.
It's not a mail card.
It's a mail cart.
It's not a mail card.
Paul is mad that I'm using this mail cart as an incoming mail cart. This is a mail cart. It has all the things that people mail to me on it. I'm very happy. Thank you. Thank you for providing me with this lovely mail cart. I have a mail cart. It's fine. Eminent domain. Property has been taken. All right, so let's force this thing to turn on. PMU on off L. Hey, where are you? PMU on off L. And here we go. There's a nice big power button set of pads right on here. So I short this to ground. I'm going to have a room with a mail rack when I move to new store. Can't wait. Then Paul can have his rack back.
It's not mine.
Whose is it?
Davidson's. Anel's.
Now we're stuck at 5 volts, Paul.
It's supposed to have one shelf for Davidson, one shelf for Anel, and one shelf for Camille.
You have given Alan 18,000 subscribers, but I think he also deserves a tip here. Here's some towards the tip. Thank you, Arvid. Thank you very much. This is still stuck at 5 volts, but it was at 20 volts before and turning on with no brain. What?
The death throes of the CPU.
Yeah, but how does the CPU affect the CD3215s?
It's the death throes of the T2 chip.
Do I spend any time on this? How about this? I know chat's going to say yes because they're trolls. Tell me what is wrong with this board. Be honest. You tell me. I'll investigate what you suggest I investigate. It went from 5 volts to 20 volts. It would sometimes turn on, sometimes not turn on. Have no brain, even though it has power going to its CPU. What do I do? Now it's stuck at 5 volts and not even getting 20 volts from the charger. What do I do? I have 1 vote for give it to Paul.
No.
Trash can. Throw some alcohol on it.
If I hear another give it to Paul, the stream's ending.
Put it on Paul's pile, says David Boyd. Hi 217 says yes. My camera doesn't remember it. I think there's like a battery or something inside this camera, some cell that I have to replace. A wild Paul doing a table flip. No, but really, well, what do I do? What do I do? I think this board should be investigated. What are you, Congress? Check the rails. All right. I genuinely feel like I'm wasting time on this thing, though. DEFCON ID 4 donated $4. Why, thank you. I don't like having people at this company waste time on boards they don't think are going to be fixable. We don't advocate for that. Okay. Let's check some basic rails. Peppa3v3 underscore G3 hot. Are you seriously boot looping now, Charger? Looking for stuff unrelated to my job. Watched your investing video. I'm afraid I totally lost. Me? Tried Game Tech Refurb previously, but that ended in a small loss. Seems to have a money-thinking mindset. I'd like mine to work for me as well. Thanks. Thank you, Chris the Pack Rat. Sometimes I make good financial decisions. Sometimes I make stupid ones. I would hope that people learn from my stupid ones what not to do. What are these two caps over here? PP3v3 underscore. Let's see. Tweak. G3 hot. Pretty. .3. So the CD3215s are receiving their power. Now, the CD3215s were working before. Keep me updated on Percy Contractor Kloss Architect. I actually called Percy. I left a message, and I never heard back from him in 4 days. So the thing is, for me, is if I don't hear back from you before you've got my money, back when you're still in the sales stage, I sure as fuck am not going to hear back from you once you already have my money. So I actually found another contractor. I'm looking at Kingrose NYC and an architect named James Vera. So I'm going to see what they offer. I'm waiting to hear a proposal from James tomorrow. And we will go from there, because I'm also supposed to be getting a lease tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to be an interesting and busy day. Thank you, though. So let's take a look at this schematic and see what these U3100s here are speaking to. So the U3100 is going to be the chip, the CD3215, that speaks to the USB-C charge port. So these two are going to speak to Titan Ridge Thunderbolt. Titan Ridge. I'll take a look at what U2800 is in a moment. U3100. Hello. You have to bang on the door like...
No, I'm afraid it's not
not sturdy.
So U2800 is the chip that it speaks to, and that's going to be under this shield over here. Now it's interesting because the USB-C port controllers used to seem to speak to a system management controller. Perhaps they do, I just am not finding it. So let's see if that's the case here. Clinton the cat. Clinton the rat.
I think the T2 has taken over everything the SMC did.
Yeah, but it's not even talking to that. It's just talking to the Thunderbolt port controller.
Not really.
So you have a debug line. What do you speak to? You just speak to the other junk in the T2 chip. Would you consider schematics or die stickers? I would. I just have not had time to do anything related to proper video content creator stuff, like merchandise and all that. I know I'm supposed to, but I have not had any time for it at all. Just been other stuff. But it's soon. I would like to. So we have more stuff speaking to the Thunderbolt chip. I'm kind of looking for any sort of data line. Would you like a pickle, Olga?
No, thank you.
Have a pickle. There's many more on the way.
Yeah, actually, I have a sandwich for lunch. I'm gonna put them in the fridge. I'm gonna have one of these pickles.
Have a pickle. Enjoy the pickle, Paul. I'm very close to writing down I don't know for this board.
I don't know.
USB power enable. Interesting. One of these signals seems to come from the CPU. Thunderbolt USB power enable. So, I'm going to guess that the reason that this machine is brain dead, even though it has its primary power rails, is because Apple. So, in any normal computer, let's just go over how this works. In a normal computer, the heatsink goes to a fin, and then that fin is where all the heat goes to, has a fan on it, and the fan is going to blow the heat away. In an Apple product, the way it works is the fan sits over here, and then it's just in this area with nothing. And then you have the heatsink over the CPU, but the heatsink is all the way over there, like over here, whereas the fan is over there, and there's nothing sitting by the heatsink and the fan, so that it just burns itself to death, and then the CPU dies. Very similar to all those A1534 models, where the CPU is just randomly dying, or people would report random crashing or distortion on the screen, and after they get random crashing and distortion on the screen, it would just stop turning on, or it would turn on, but be completely brain dead. It would take 600 milliamps, all the power rails and the SO power rails would be there, but it would never post. One of the problems that Apple seems to have nowadays is that they've gone from using inadequate cooling, or fans that are too small, or fans that are too quiet, or heatsinks that are too thin, to not even having a fin between the heatsink and the fan. And this doesn't make sense to me, because if you're going to have a fan in your computer, I would imagine that this fan should be actually blowing on something that would cool the rest of the computer. This heatsink over here, I don't understand. Perhaps somebody in the comments can explain to me the think different genius that occurred in the design of this product. And perhaps you can explain it to the hundreds of thousands of users with dead A1534s with dying CPUs, and eventually all of the people that have an A1932 that have a dead CPU as a result of it being brain dead. Apple. What this, I think, means is that we are going to have a lot of business in the next coming months where we utilize this machine over here called a Xiaomao, where Paul is going to replace the CPU.
Oh, no.
Where Paul is going to be replacing the CPUs in our new store that we're going to be getting. We're actually going to have an office that is for nothing besides Xiaomaoing new CPUs onto these products due to Apple's terrible cooling system.
No.
It sounds like Paul is excited for this new phase of Apple logic board repair that we're coming up on, which is going to be most likely primarily CPU replacement. So that's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. And if you're designing systems, designing cooling systems, thermal systems, I really hope you learned something from Apple's design on how to put together a proper cooling system within a laptop. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something.